Hello, this is Nicholas Tanek with your kinky friends, and oh my God, do I have a wonderful guest with me today? We're gonna talk about impact play. We're gonna talk about. I think we're gonna talk about Batman a little bit. But we're definitely gonna talk about sounding and chastity, and of course CBT, and also the UK. Oh my God, everybody, look at her dungeon. Oh, I gotta ask about that too. Um, everybody, bow down. Consider yourself lucky and worship the magnificent Mistress Pamela Isley. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, you're from the UK. You're a professional dominatrix.
Uh-huh.
Why don't we just get started? Everybody, it seems like a lot of professional doms have specialties, or some are what I like to call Jacqueline of all trades, which means they'll pretty much do almost anything. But while some just really love leather, some really, love diaper play, some are really into sadism, some are more nurturing. What would you say your specialties are?
I think my specialties are enticing people in and teasing a lot. I like to tease, and I like to do lots of play, of course. But yeah, I think it's a lot of teasing, and I have so many regular clients that have been seeing me for so many years that they just keep coming back, for more and more. So that must be a good thing. I like that. I like to see my regular clients. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Okay,
Yeah.
so how did you get started in all this?
Well, probably just going to fetish clubs really when I was in my mid-20s. I wouldn't describe myself as a dominant person then, really. Just I was very shy, really, and I was very conscious of my body. I didn't like the fact that I was tall and skinny. I wasn't very confident. But I went to a fetish club for the first time with my now husband and a couple of our friends. And just on being in the place, I realised that it didn't really matter what you look like, your body shape. Nobody really cares about that kind of thing in fetish clubs. You feel really safe and everyone's really kind. And obviously, if you're a tall woman in high heels, which I did go in, I've always had a fetish for high heels. So just being in that place, walking in there, and then suddenly having a man at my feet, bowing down to me like this, I didn't really know how to react. I was just a bit shocked, really. And I was thinking, what is he doing? What does he want to do? And my friend said, oh, he wants to worship you. He likes the fact that you are, a beautiful, tall goddess. And I thought, wow, I could get used to this. I loved the fact that he was on the floor and I was towering above him, and that he enjoyed that position and I enjoyed my position. And then when I saw what went on in the clubs, where most of the women there were dominant, and they were controlling the men and punishing them and things like that, but all in a nice, safe environment as well. I knew that it was all consensual and that everyone had to chat about it first, and I just really got drawn into that, and I realised that I was very at home in the fetish scene. Really, I really found my place in life, which was very good. I felt really comfortable. Yeah.
I was very at home in the fetish scene. Okay, so
I had always, as a young girl growing up, always loved high heels. I adored them, and I bought my first pair of high heels when I was about 15. But I just didn't have the confidence to wear them. I just used to wear them on my own in my bedroom, take pictures of them, look at them. I absolutely loved them, but I could not bring myself to go out in them because I was already very tall, and the high heels would make me taller, and I would stand out, and I just didn't want to stand out. I used to get some negative comments if I did go out, which wasn't very nice. So that really knocked my confidence. But when you're in a fetish club, nobody knocks your confidence in there. Everyone builds you up. Everyone makes you more confident. And the taller you are, if you're a mistress, the better. So, so
That's all.
now
Yeah.
I'm in like 7-inch heels now, really towering now. The taller the better.
So that's what I was just gonna ask you is like, what are your tallest pair of heels? And do you like the thicker heel or like the pencil kind of real thin heel?
Well, I do. Oh, the thin heel, really. I mean, yeah, they're all like that kind of thin heel. I don't wear block heels. No, they have to be like this. Yeah, gorgeous heels like that. And these have got like a hidden platform inside just to make them even taller.
We got our first question from Spike Chase TT. I think he's new to this. Welcome, Spike. He asks, who's your favorite shoe designer?
I don't really have a shoe designer as such. I mean, I like Christian Louboutin. I mean, he's like a really top designer, but he doesn't tend to have shoes that I particularly like. I haven't got any of his shoes. All my shoes are just bought off the internet. I like them from just fetish sites, really, just really high heels. I've not really got any like favorite designer shoes, to be honest. No.
Okay, so would you say, because there are some, because heels are big money these days. Some of them are extremely expensive, and then some you know.
My phone was just ringing then, I'll just turn it off.
Oh, thank you very much. So what I was saying is that some heels are extremely expensive, while others, like, they just aesthetically they look sexy, they look like a BDSM heel, but they're much more inexpensive. Does the kind of price and style and everything like that, does that make a difference to you at all?
I like to have lots of shoes. I mean, I have got a load of shoes because I like to interchange the shoes. But my shoes are not overly expensive, around about between 30 and 60 pounds a pair. So, that's not overly expensive. I haven't got like 10 pairs of Christian Louboutins at like 600 pounds each. No, I prefer to have lots and lots of different shoes and different colors and styles, but all very high heels.
Wonderful. Okay, so Pamela Isley is Poison Ivy in the Batman series.
She is. She is.
Yes. What a yeah, you didn't know that?
Who didn't know that?
You didn't know that?
Oh yeah, I knew that. She's my favorite villainess. Of course I know that. Yes. When I very first started off becoming a mistress, when I kind of got my footing in the fet clubs, I used to call myself Mistress Poison Ivy because she was my favorite villainess.
Definitely. Oh, you froze up.
The phone keeps ringing. Phone's always ringing.
Definitely.
Yeah, so she was my favorite villainess, Mistress. So I was called Mistress Poison Ivy. But back then, when I first started out, there was no like internet, really, no mobile phones, no internet. So I just used to have a little ad in the contact magazines, and I used to see people through that and through the club scene as well. But when I had my first website made, I was called, obviously, Mistress Poison Ivy. But there was a Mistress Poison Ivy in London, and she didn't really like it that I was calling myself Mistress Poison Ivy. So she asked me if I could change my name, because she really wanted to be the only Mistress Poison Ivy in the UK. So I agreed to change it to Pamela Isley, because it's the same person. And so that's what I did. She's still my favourite character. And I actually, once I changed that name over to become Mistress Pamela Isley, I liked it better, because a lot of people just refer to me as Mistress Pamela, whereas before they didn't really call me Mistress Poison, because it didn't really sound too nice. So I was kind of glad then that I was now called Pamela Isley. And I just answer to that, like, it's just become my name. If I'm out and about and people just, if anyone shouts Pamela, which is not my real name, I just react to that name straight away. So yeah, she's very, very much a part of me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so Fractal Element asks, Mistress, do you have a personal live-in slave?
Not a live-in slave, no, not a permanent live-in slave, because I live with my husband. My dungeon is in our house. My husband is not a submissive person. We have a separate life. He likes my outfits, obviously. He was like that. He loves the outfits. He loves the boots. He loves leather, PVC, shiny stuff like that. But he is not submissive to me. Not as Pamela Isley, no. We have a normal relationship, so I don't have another. I don't have a slave living with us. I don't think that would be very kind to my husband. We just have a normal relationship together. I have slaves that come round to do the cleaning and do chores and things like that, but which he doesn't mind. I mean, he's fully aware of what I do, obviously, and he accepts what I do. So yeah, he's quite open to having guys come and clean the house and things like that, and do jobs for me and things. Yeah, he's fine with that, but we don't want anyone actually living here with us.
Okay, here's an interesting question about husbands. Mistress, my hubby isn't a kinky person like me, so how should I tell him that I made him cuck without even knowing it, because I don't know about cuckolding or not? Because I don't know, because I don't know if he knows about cuckolding or not. So basically, this woman made her husband a cuckold, or yeah,
right,
and so he doesn't know.
Well, I think it's probably wise that she tells him for a start off. I think it's only fair as well that he knows about that. And if they're all willing to play together, you know, as threesomes, then even better. But I think it's definitely something that he needs to know. Yeah, otherwise it's just not right, is it? It's just not fair. No, I'm not in favour of that.
Yeah,
that would just be classed as having an affair, wouldn't it? Which is not right. But yeah, in the BDSM way,
I would highly suggest that, you know, being honest about it and saying it, like, it's a kink. It's not just it's a fetish. It's a kink. It's not, you're not just, you know, having sex with somebody else. It's this person like kind of gets off on the kick of cuckolding. Yeah. Then Yusuf is, can we worship her? Sure, no one's stopping you. That's okay.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So okay. So I'm always curious, and about all right, let's, you know what, forget about that question. Let's just go right into impact play. There are canes, whips, floggers, paddles, riding crops. They're all wonderful. I love them all. You know what I mean? Do you have a personal favorite though?
Well, I do love all of those, absolutely. But my favorite item has to be the cane. Yeah, every time. Yeah, I've
And
got
why?
a really nice collection of canes. But the cane, I like the way that it sounds before you even use it. You can like whack it around. I've got one of my canes right here that I've just been looking at, playing with. So yeah, when the cane, this is the traditional type of cane, which all naughty boys, depending on their age, have had the use of one of these. So I like the way that it feels and the way it bends, and this is the best thing, one of the best things.
Yeah, I love the sound too. Yeah.
It makes some really nice sounds, like, so I always use that before I actually cane somebody. I make them worship the cane so they can feel it in the mouth. I run it along in front of them, demonstrating it. I whacker it around, making the sound, so that builds up, you know, the anticipation of actually being caned. And then when I'm actually caning someone, I really enjoy that because it leaves some lovely nice stripes across the bottom, and you know, it can be used on the hands as well, and the feet, but yeah, it's got some really nice marks to it as well. So yeah, it has to be the cane.
Definitely. Okay. So a lot of people always want in this show about, you know, info on CBT, which is cock and ball torture. Um, all right. What is the most brutal thing you have done when it comes to cock and ball torture?
Brutal. Whew. I wouldn't like to use that word, to be honest.
Okay.
Brutal. I'm not going to use the word brutal
Okay.
because BDSM play, it's not brutal. It's
It is.
play.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
and consensual.
But you know, I do have just a handful of guys that have really what I would class as extreme ball busting, ball kicking. They really do take it really hard. And I love seeing those guys, because it gives me a really good workout as well. Probably lots of different positions to start off with, but the whole thing of actually kicking a guy in the balls. I've usually got my boots on to do that because sometimes the shoe can kind of like fly off suddenly, which you don't want. So I normally wear my boots to do ball kicking. But the couple of guys that have it extreme, yeah, I'm absolutely exhausted by the end of the session. It's but they can take it, you know, that they are obviously in agony, but they get the harder I kick them, the more turned on that they get.
Yeah.
So they really are getting off on me ball busting them. But if anyone was to see that, if they didn't know these guys and didn't know the situation, then I suppose to the outsider it would look brutal, but it's not.
Now, why do you think that's? I noticed that it's a very, very popular fetish, CBT and ball busting and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Why, like, why do you think it is so popular?
I don't know, to be honest, because I've often wondered why guys like to be like kicked there, because you know, as a woman, you were taught that if you was getting any unwanted attention from a man, or you were being like attacked or something like that, a swift kick in the balls would have the man, you know, on the floor in agony, and then you can make your escape. So everybody knows that that is a particularly painful area. So not 100% sure really, but the guys that I do that to, they kind of condition themselves to taking more and more and more. So maybe it's like a thing where they can gain the more they do something, the better they get at it, and the more turned on they get. But and I think also when people play in the fetish world, pain is a massive part of it. They like the pain. They get off on pain. So one of the most painful parts of a man's body is his balls, isn't it? So if they love pain, then that's where they're definitely going to get it.
Yeah. Sasso asked, "Do you kick in the balls?" Yes, we're talking about it right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to answer your question for you, but I mean that's kind of obvious because we're talking about, you know, you kicking people in the balls. Oh, Yusef says she looks like a real goddess. I wish I could worship her as proper.
I bet he does.
All right. So you have this magnificent dungeon behind you. It's in your house. Do you have a favorite either piece of equipment or a favorite part of the dungeon that's your personal favorite? And on the second part of that question is, what is the most requested?
Probably the favourite part is probably my spanking bench, because I can tie people down to that, and I can do lots of different activities on that. I can do caning and spanking and whipping whilst they are tied onto the spanking bench, and also it leaves their ass like wide open for anal play as well. So yeah, I like the spanking bench probably the best, because it's got lots of multiple uses.
And what is the most requested by the people?
The most requested play activity,
or part of the dungeon?
but probably the floor, to be honest. The floor, not as like an item of dungeon apparatus, but the floor really, because if you're a true submissive and a slave, then the best place for you to be is on the floor, so that you are below the mistress, and she's obviously looking down at you, and you can get low down on the floor. Mistress can put her foot on your body, on your back, just to like enforce the fact that you are below the mistress.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Bobby says, "Nice, Mistress Pamela." And then Craggs, basically, I had sex with a local trans guys with my female friends, and I love it because my husband is too submissive. Should I slowly transform him into chastity first?
Well, there again, you'd better have a good chat with the husband to see what he thinks about all that. You know, like I said, it's got to be consensual. Everyone's got to say yes, yes, that's fine. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, is it?
Yeah, definitely. Now let's talk about chastity real quick. Do you have anybody locked up now?
Yes.
How many people?
At this very moment, probably three people locked in chastity. Yeah.
Wow. And how long?
It can vary, really. I mean, the longest that I have had a guy locked in chastity was for a whole year. That was a challenge for him. So I locked him up on my birthday, and I released him the year after on my birthday. So that was like a challenge for him to be locked up for me for a whole year. But generally speaking, lock people up for say like a month or two, really, and then release it. They come for the session. I can release them out of that chastity device. That doesn't mean that they are allowed to relieve themselves or anything like that. It can come off, but then it can go straight back on again, depending on my mood and what I think I'm going to do.
Definitely. Okay. So now when it comes to chastity, there's plastic, there's silicone, and there's metal, and there's other types, but those are the main three
Yeah.
types. Do you have a preference?
I don't like the silicone ones because they're too soft and they tend to kind of fall off quite a lot, especially in the night. Um, the metal ones, they tend to be the sturdiest and don't break, because I've had lots of guys that when they're in plastic ones, they do tend to break because they're wearing it such a lot. So the metal ones are probably my favourite. And I really like the ones that have got a hinge as well. I don't like the ones that are just the fixed ring that you have to like push the balls through. I hate those ones. They're just so difficult. So I like the ones that have got a hinge that you can put it behind the balls, put it round, clip it on, and then lock it up. So yeah, definitely the hinged metal ones.
Yeah, and plus you can get them custom made. I would highly
Yeah.
recommend anybody who's into chastity, who has a little bit of experience to very high experience, spend the extra money, and
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be in it for, for a certain length of time, then it's got to be comfortable. You can't have one that's going to like rub and make a sore or anything like that. That's not good. So yeah, it's got to fit perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about sounding. Sounding is basically inserting something into the urethra. Like I said, this is all consensual. Usually it's a tube or something like that. What advice would you give to somebody either receiving or giving sounding advice for someone who has no experience at all?
Right. Well, if you are going to give somebody sounds for the first time, I would recommend being shown how to do it, or at least watching some videos about it, because you don't want to damage the person's urethra. And the most important thing about that is to make sure that the item, which usually is a stainless steel rod kind, is completely sterilized, that your hands are completely sterile, everything is really clean, because otherwise you're going to give somebody an infection. And then the second thing is make sure that you have plenty lube on it. And then what I do is I always tie up the cock and balls first. And before I'm doing the sounding, everything is clean. And then get the smallest one first, and then just put it down the urethra, but never ever push it in. Just let it go down very slowly itself. If it isn't going down, do not push it. Don't push the sound in, because you will just damage the person's urethra. You'll bruise it, cause infection, that kind of thing. And if you are somebody that's going to take it, and make sure that the person that's giving it is completely sane and not stupid, and has done the proper checks, has cleaned everything properly, and you know that they are going to take the time and be really slow in doing that act.
What's your opinion of the chastity devices with sounds in them?
I've got quite a few of those, yeah. There again, as long as they're cleaned properly, the urethral sound is a tube, so that they can pee out of the end. But I don't keep people in that long term. That if I keep people in that, it will just be for the duration of the session, however long that be, a couple of hours. But I wouldn't keep people in that long term. No,
Okay.
I don't think good for the urethra to be in that position.
Now, one of the things that you do is breath play.
Uh-huh.
So, how do you keep that safe?
I've been doing it for such a long time now, but what I used to do in the early days was I'd actually hold my own breath while I was doing that to them. Obviously, paying attention to the person at all times, never ever leaving them on their own. You have to be right close to them constantly. So if I was doing it, say, putting a hood on, and then cling filming the nose and the mouth. Then I would hold my own breath to see how long until I was struggling, and then I would just give them a little bit more until they're like wriggling, and then got easy access to get them some air in. If I was doing breath play where I'm kind of sitting on the face, restricting the breathing, then we always have like a tap out signal. When they've had enough, they just tap, and I'd give them a little bit of air and then sit right back down again. But the main thing with that is people's body language. You know, people that are restricted of air start to struggle, so you can see that they are struggling, and you don't make it so that they pass out. That's not good. I never ever do it to the point where people pass out.
Definitely. And all right, so you're in the UK, correct? Without giving too much detail, what part of the UK?
I'm in Wigan, Lancashire.
Lancashire. Okay. How would you feel, or how do you feel that the UK BDSM scene is different from other parts of the UK or other parts of the world?
Generally speaking, I think we have got a pretty good BDSM community in the UK. There's quite a few nice clubs. I've always found that the clubs that I've been to have been really good, really friendly and nice. I've never really seen the fetish scene in other countries, to be honest, so I can't really comment about that. I know there's been like there's a good scene in the likes of Berlin and Germany. I know that those parts have had quite a big impact with BDSM play, but I've never experienced that, unfortunately.
Okay. And we got some more guest questions. Like Yusef says, how many slaves do you have any at the moment? And do you have any female slaves?
How many slaves do I have at the moment? Well, as a professional dominatrix, I have over 100 slaves, clients. And as a professional dominatrix, I don't have any female slaves because female slaves do not come to see, in general, a dominatrix like myself. From what I can gather, a female submissive will set herself up in business as a submissive, and she will invite the guys or the girls in to her, and she will charge them to dominate her. So really, women are always in charge, especially in business. So no, women don't come to me to pay. I've had couples come together, and that's been mainly for some teaching, do a bit of BDSM teaching in here. They kind of want to play with things, but they don't know what to do. So I've done some workshops with them. And I have played with females in clubs and social situations. So yeah, that's all really.
Yusef keeps asking, can we see her souls? We want to bow down to her feet. She already did show them to us. So you gotta rewind. You gotta start from the beginning and see. We talk about heels almost right off the bat. So right from the beginning. So check that out. Okay, Erin has a couple of questions. Have you ever been dominant with someone with a disability?
Yes, I have. Yes, yeah. I treat people exactly the same. They've got the same feelings as everybody else. If we can get around disability, then I always do, yeah. I've had a dwarf that has been to see me a few times, and because of his height, he liked to be stood at the A-frame to be disciplined, but me with my high heels on, like over 6 foot tall, and he was probably about 3 foot. So rather than give myself a bad back to get right down there, I actually stood him on this box, on this step that I've got. I just moved that over to the A-frame, stood him on top of the box, and then he was at a better height for me to dominate him with the implements and things like that. And I did have a guy that his limbs were really stiff, and he struggled to kind of get out of his chair. And on that occasion, my husband actually came in to help to get him onto the equipment, so that he could have a play. So yeah, everything's possible and should be.
That's great. It's a great attitude. And Yusuf says, "Thank you. I missed. Sorry for making me for keep asking, for basically, because he did ask a lot. It's okay, Yusuf. It happens." Okay, so all right, so yes. Did you ever have a submissive where you had to cut off completely, where you basically decided you're not my submissive anymore, don't contact me, I can't, you basically just cut them off?
Lots of times, yes.
What is the main reason for that?
My main reason for that is that they're not submissive enough. They've only been to see me once because they never get a second chance, but usually I just find them not submissive enough. They try to like tell me what to do and things like that, and I can just tell with the body language that they're just not submissive. Sometimes we just don't gel. You just don't get that connection with people for one reason or another. So because of that, they don't get a second appointment, unfortunately.
Right,
I'm very, very lucky that I have so many nice guys that come to see me that I can just get rid of people that I don't gel with and I don't want.
Definitely. And everybody keep in mind that dominatrixes and mistresses, they're people, they're human beings. You know, they have feelings, they have lives. One of the main rules is don't waste their time.
Oh yes, that's the main thing. Oh, time wasters. Oh my God. You can get plagued with time wasters, but because of the internet and internet banking and everything these days, eliminating time wasters has got so much easier. Because when I started out, there was no such thing as internet banking and bank transfers and paying deposits and anything like that. You just couldn't do that. So someone would ring me up, tell me what they wanted, make a booking, give them the address. They just don't turn up, which is really rude and annoying. But nowadays, because of paying deposits, they can't get away with that anymore. So thank goodness. So that's kind of eliminated a hell of a lot of time wasters now. Yeah.
All right. Manu says, car running over a slave's hand. What's your thought on this? And this would be obviously consensual, but basically running someone over with your car or using your car to run over a slave's hand, if that's what they wanted. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely not. No, it's completely stupid. You've got to protect people from their own self. So I would say no, don't do that. There's lots of other things to do. There's so many little bones in your hand to get crushed. Why on earth would someone want to do that? It's just silly, and no, definitely.
Okay. So we're gonna get away from the kink for a little bit. Let's talk about history. If you could live from the beginning of time until right now, if you could choose to live any time, any period in history, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Oh, I'd rather not live far back in history. I'd probably get burned as a witch or something like that. I can see me like not getting on, because I mean, when you look back in history, I mean, men were kind of more dominant than the women, really. Women were a little bit suppressed. I mean, they weren't even allowed to vote or anything, were they? So what chance would I have going back in history? My best place is in the future, where women will rule the world.
Definitely. Okay. Manoj asks again, feet worshiping or feet gagging? Obviously, since you wear heels and boots quite often, there's a lot of the worship aspect to it. But some people like to gag on feet,
Yeah,
basically. Is that
yeah.
something you do?
Oh, yes, very often. Yeah, yeah. I've got one of my guys who absolutely loves to be gagged with my feet, and I really choke him with it. Yeah, he absolutely loves it. I push my bare foot right in his mouth and make him really gag on it. Yeah, he loves it, and so do I. So yeah, that's all good.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the whole concept of foot fetishism.
Mhm.
Um, it seemed like spanking, fetishism, and even rope, they're almost they're acceptable, whereas stuff like sounding, chastity, sissification, sometimes used in certain places, even pegging and anal play is considered taboo. But foot fetish seems to be a very kind of almost mainstream type of fetish. Why do you think that is, as opposed to other fetishes in the world?
It is very, very common foot fetish. I do a lot of foot worship, but it's not unfortunately, but I don't have smelly feet. So when people ring up, they usually want to worship smelly feet, sweaty feet. Mine are not overly sweaty at all, thankfully. I'm quite glad about that, to be fair. But when you really want to worship sweaty feet, it's good for them. But I'm not really sure where that comes from. I think guys like to see women's toes, especially like in sandals and peep toes, with maybe some like nail varnish on. They look quite sexy, toes. And when they're in your mouth, you can use your tongue to kind of push your tongue in between the toes. And I mean, I love that being done to me. I think that feels amazing. But I bet it feels like, obviously, clearly amazing for the tongue to explore the little crevices between the toes and things. So yeah, it's a very sexy part of the body.
Definitely. Okay. So now let's rapid fire recommendations, and they don't have to be kink related. Okay. Recommend a film.
A film, my favorite film has to be Life of Brian.
Oh my God, yes. I love Monty Python.
It's hilarious. I love it. I can just watch it over and over and over, which I have hundreds of times. I can just go through the script. I know exactly what line's coming next, but I'm still laughing. I always laugh at The Life of Brian.
Do you like it better than Holy Grail?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the beauty. I was talking last week. I was talking to someone from the UK, and we're talking about Monty Python and our love of Monty Python. And what's amazing about Monty Python is that they are so intelligent and they know their history so well,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they could be silly as can be.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So they
Exactly.
find
Yeah.
that balance, and it's unlike anything. And I always talk about a movie directed by Terry Jones, who's who's part of Monty Python, and this
Mm-hmm.
movie he directed, which is kind of hard to find for many people, even though I do own a copy of it. It's called Personal Services. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of that. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it though. I
Oh,
don't
it's
think
great.
I have.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's about a woman who it's based loosely based on a true story about a woman who's having severe financial problems.
Mhm.
So out of her flat, she starts running not a brothel, like a BDSM sex kind of club. It's I mean, like, her dungeon is nothing like yours, obviously, you
Mhm.
know, but like there's a maid, there's a sissy maid involved. There's people doing, like, sometimes they dress up as schoolgirls. It's really it's a
Sounds great.
great film. It's called Personal Services, directed by Terry Jones,
I probably have seen it, to be fair. Probably seen that many.
and one thing I love about it is that it shows that, as glamorous as, like, say, you are, as in the way you look, not everybody in the BDSM community, you know, look that sometimes they look like they just got out of bed, but they can still be kinky and still be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where the BDSM community just accepts people. You
Mhm.
can just be whoever you want to be, and you can wear whatever you want to wear, because it's all about you and what you want. No one, like, says anything or disses you or anything. Everyone's just very accepting, and so they should be. If we could take that into the real world, then it would be perfect. Perfect.
I totally.
Well, people go around criticizing people. Oh, look what she's wearing. Look what he's wearing. Look what he's doing. In the BDSM world, we don't do that to people. We just accept people, and that's how it should be.
Definitely, that's a great way to look at it, and I look at it that way. I look at it that way too, because in the BDSM community, if you start accepting people outside the community as well, and
Mhm.
start seeing them for who they are, and the connection, not necessarily their image or their status or whatever, and that really makes a difference on life.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know. All right,
absolutely. Mhm.
recommend a book.
Oh gosh. I don't really read books, to be honest. I haven't got time. But I will recommend my husband's book. My husband has never wrote a book before in his entire life, but during lockdown, he decided he was going to write a book. So he's called it Chloe's Dilemma, and it's on for sale on Amazon. It's only £3.50. It's got a green cover, and he's wrote that book, so I'm definitely going to recommend that book because it's really good. And my husband wrote it, so
Okay. Recommend a song.
a song. Oh, my favorite song has got to be um, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust.
I love David Bowie.
Yeah,
I love,
absolutely, David
yeah.
Bowie.
Hang On to Yourself is a great song. The whole Ziggy Stardust album is
Yeah,
wonderful.
the whole Ziggy Stardust album is fantastic. It's my favorite album.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Okay. Recommend a television show.
A show. Don't really watch shows as such, but I'm a Lancashire girl, so I'm going to say Coronation Street and Emmerdale has got to be my favourite shows.
I
Soaps,
gotta check that
shows.
out. I gotta check that out. Okay. And recommend a meal.
A meal, or I would have to be Indian.
I love
Love
Indian
Indian.
food.
Love a good Indian.
A
Yeah,
good, nice curry.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And
Vegetarian, of course, though. Vegetarian.
definitely, I'm a vegetarian myself.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
And like stuff like ragged patties and pav bhaji. And I live in New Jersey now, and the Indian population is huge, and there's so many different kinds of Indian. There's North Indian, South Indian food, and there's so many different restaurants.
Mm.
It's pretty much amazing.
Yeah, the flavors are just gorgeous. We actually did go to India on holiday, and the food, oh my God, I've never had as much gorgeous food in my entire life while we was away. And when we got home, I said, oh my God, our food is going to be so bland.
Definitely.
The
Do you have a
food
favorite
there.
Indian dish?
Huh?
Do you have a favorite Indian dish?
Kind of like Madras, what do I have? Like the Samba Madras kind of flavors. Yeah, spicy. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, lovely. We have a lovely, lovely Indian restaurant and takeaway near us, and they do it perfect, perfect. Mm.
Okay. And okay, Michael Brzezinski says regarding ball busting, here we are back. When sacking a guy in the nutsack, do you prefer boots, heels, or electric play? So, I mean, you said boots before, but have you ever done electric play?
Oh yeah, I do electrics. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got electric box. I do electrics on the cock and balls. Yeah, that's a bit different to like ball busting though. That's
Sure.
electrical play. But yeah, when I'm ball busting, kicking, definitely like to wear boots. Um, but yeah, electric play is really good. Yeah, run it along the balls and the cock. Yeah, it's great.
Definitely. Okay. So, all right, this is the 3-word game. So, t choose a letter of the alphabet, from A to Z. Doesn't matter which one. All right, and you have to choose 3 words or phrases. All that begin with the same letter. Okay. One of them has to be kink related. The other 2 don't have to be. They can be, but they don't have to be. So, what would your 3 words be?
3 words.
Or
Absolutely
phrases?
no
All
idea.
start with the same letter.
A letter. I'll go with A.
Okay.
So you want a word beginning with A.
Yeah, and there's 3 things that you love, and one of them has to be BDSM kink related.
Oh well, that would definitely have to be arsehole. Definitely. I have a lot of fun with arseholes.
What would the 2 other ones be? 2 other A's.
Another A.
They-
Well, A is always for apple, especially in the schoolroom, isn't it?
yes.
And another A. America.
Oh. Well, I can't wait till you come by.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Are
Okay.
you inviting me over?
Oh, I definitely am.
Oh, good. Very good.
I live in an old mansion, an old Victorian house that's all creaky and it's got really tall ceilings and
Oh, lovely.
yeah,
That's great.
it's definitely a different culture, but I love it, and I really want to get over to the UK, all parts of it.
Well, you come over to our house and we'll come over to your house.
That sounds like a plan. All right, we pretty much wrapped it up. Oh wait, okay, let's talk about assholes. Yusef asks, slaves allowing for rimming, scatting, or pissing, and are you doing any of these?
No, the only thing that I do out of those is water sport. I do anal play, but that's with my dildos on them. No, I don't do rimming. And I do water sports. I don't do any hard sports, scat. No, only water sports.
Okay, now do you how do you prepare? Do you like drink heavily, drink water, a lot of
Yeah,
water or coffee beforehand?
yeah. I know when I'm going to do a session with water sports, so I always prepare that. I drink plenty before the session starts, and I always have my drink with me, so that because usually in a session with water sports, the water sports takes place at the end of the session, so I've got to like build my bladder up to be able to perform perform that act. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So yeah, we've oh wait, let's talk about anal play real quick. Your dildos, do you go right for the big ones or do you ease in with
Oh, absolutely easy. You can't just start off with a really big one on somebody because you don't know how they're going to be able to take that. So, yeah, ease in with a small one, like something like some anal beads first. I mean, these are really easy to insert. I always put condoms on all of my anal toys, so slip a condom on there, put plenty of lube on, really lube it up such a lot, and then I get the person relaxed as well because that's always a good thing to insert anything there, because if people clench up then it's not going in. So try to get them to relax, and if it's the first time with doing anal play, always get them to like take a deep breath in, and then as they're breathing out, push it a little bit further, so kind of get through that first one, and then do the same thing again to the second and then the third, so that they can take that, and then obviously you can work up to the bigger ones. So the biggest one that I have inserted is that one. So that's quite big.
wow.
Yeah, that's quite a, oh yeah, you can see that. So
It's
that's
like
quite a big one. But that yeah, that's quite a big one, as you can see. But this is a couple of guys that are really well into anal play. I wouldn't recommend inserting anything much bigger than that, to be honest, because I mean things are meant to come out of that area and not in, so probably not something too much bigger than that, to be honest.
okay, and then Yusuf asks, you talked about couples. So when you do couples, what do they want generally?
Generally, they want some guidance, really. Generally, it's the male that's the submissive, and the female is not really knowing what to do with her man. So they'll come here, and I will guide the female and show her some techniques and things like that. And we'll both kind of dominate the guy and try some things on him. And that'll build up her confidence, so that, like, me and the girl can have some fun with that. And obviously the guy loves it as well. And just to teach women how to become empowered, really, and how to dominate the man, and what to do with implements and how to do things. So it's always good fun. I think a lot of women lack confidence, and as soon as they have that confidence, then it's so much better for them and for the relationship as well, especially with the guy wanting his woman to dominate him as well. Yeah, it's all about empowerment.
Well, that's what, like, my story with Lynn, and she grew up
Yeah,
most of her life with very, very low self-esteem, and
yeah, yeah,
once she got into femdom, into being a dominant woman,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
her life changed.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like mine as well. Change for the better. I could have been walking around right now, like looking at the floor, wearing flat shoes, staring at the floor, not really wanting anyone to kind of look at me. And now I walk around in 7-inch heels, going, look, look all you like. It's that's how empowering it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we've reached the end, but I would love to do like a part two and maybe some panel episodes.
Sure.
Let's take this time. First of all, after we're done, stay on the line real quick. I just want to talk to you really, really quick, and I won't waste your time, because what's the rule, everybody? You don't waste the Dom's time.
No time wasters.
Yes. So please take this time to promote any links, if FetLife, Twitter, your personal links, your personal website, you know, for Pamela Isley, for Mistress Pamela Isley. Yeah, please go.
Well, just on my website, you can put it on there, and I'm on FetLife as well. So yeah, just post it on there.
Okay, no, like this is to promote yourself. Like, what what is your website?
Oh, my website is www.mistresspamelaIsley.co.uk.
Okay, great. And Yusuf says, "Thank you, goddess," and that's good for using a capital G. Thank you, Yusuf.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'm Nicholas Tanek. I'm on Twitter at Nicholas Tanek. You can find the whole crew on FetLife at Your Kinky Friends No Spaces. I'm on Facebook. We have a secret Your Kinky Friends page called YKF. It's secret. No one's gonna know that you're in there. There's Twitter and Instagram at Friends Kinky, which the whole crew, you know, runs. We have a Discord chat group where everybody can chat with each other. We have a Patreon page, patreon.com/YKF. We're going to have some fun stuff like dominatrix cooking shows, everything like that. Yeah. So, like I said, please stay on the line real quick. But oh my God, it's getting late, my friends. My Dom is calling me. You know what that means? I gotta go. And remember the cardinal rule, everybody: be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye.